If you enjoy stories about hidden strength, unexpected heroes, and heart-pounding action, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps us bring you more incredible stories every week. The fluorescent lights of Blackwater Medical Research Facility hummed with their usual monotonous drone as Marcus Sullivan pushed his cleaning cart down the sterile corridor. His weathered hands gripped the mop handle with practiced ease, the yellow caution wet floor signs marking his invisible presence throughout the building. To the scientists, security guards, and administrators who passed him daily, Marcus was nothing more than background noise, a 60-year-old janitor counting down to retirement. Dr. Elena Vasquez barely glanced up from her tablet as Marcus emptied the trash bin beside her laboratory door. She was too absorbed in the crisis unfolding around her to notice the maintenance worker who had been cleaning these halls for the past 3 months. The pharmaceutical company's most classified project, codenamed Phoenix Protocol, had been compromised. Someone had infiltrated their systems and stolen research that could revolutionize or devastate modern medicine. The breach occurred at 0347 hours. Director Harrison Walsh announced to his emergency response team, his voice echoing through the conference room as Marcus mopped the hallway outside. "We have reason to believe the perpetrator is still on site, possibly among our own personnel." Marcus paused his cleaning, his gray eyes scanning the security monitors mounted near the ceiling. His movements remained methodical, unhurried, but there was something different in the way he observed the building's layout, the positioning of guards, the patterns of personnel movement. Details that a simple janitor would never notice or need to notice. The morning progressed with increasing tension as FBI agent Sarah Chen arrived with her cybercrime unit. She strode through the facility with the confidence of someone accustomed to corporate espionage cases, her team immediately beginning their digital forensics work. Marcus continued his rounds, emptying waste baskets and sanitizing surfaces while the investigation swirled around him like a storm he wasn't supposed to understand. "Sir, we've identified the breach point," Agent Chen reported to Director Walsh. "Whoever did this had intimate knowledge of our security protocols. This wasn't some external hacker, this was an inside job." As she spoke, Marcus wheeled his cart past the open conference room door, accidentally bumping it against the frame. The sound drew annoyed glances from the assembled officials, but Marcus simply nodded apologetically and continued on his way. None of them noticed the brief moment when his eyes locked onto the digital evidence displayed on their screens, or the almost imperceptible tension that crossed his weathered features. Dr. Vasquez approached Agent Chen during a break in the briefing. "Agent Chen, I need you to understand something. Phoenix Protocol isn't just valuable, it's dangerous. In the wrong hands, this research could be weaponized. We're not just talking about corporate theft. We're talking about a potential bioweapon." Marcus happened to be replacing the water cooler bottles nearby, his presence so routine that their conversation continued without regard for his proximity. But as Dr. Vasquez detailed the stolen research's capabilities, something shifted in the janitor's posture. His movements became more deliberate, his attention sharper, though his external demeanor remained unchanged. The investigation intensified throughout the morning. Agent Chen's team discovered sophisticated digital footprints suggesting the thief had been gathering intelligence for weeks. Security footage was reviewed, personnel files were examined, and polygraph tests were scheduled for key staff members. Yet the perpetrator remained elusive, seemingly vanishing into thin air after completing their mission. During lunch break, Marcus sat alone in the facility's cafeteria, methodically eating a sandwich while surrounded by the nervous chatter of employees discussing the security breach. Dr. Vasquez sat at a nearby table with several colleagues, their conversation hushed but urgent. "The stolen files contain the complete synthesis pathway for Phoenix 7, she whispered to her research partner. "If someone produces this compound without proper safety protocols, it could kill thousands." Marcus continued eating, showing no outward reaction to their discussion. But his free hand, hidden beneath the table, it was quietly tapping out a complex pattern on his leg, a sequence that would have been meaningless to most observers, but carried significant weight to those trained to recognize such signals. The afternoon brought a breakthrough that sent shockwaves through the investigation. Agent Chen burst into Director Walsh's office with urgent news. "Sir, we've traced the digital signature. The breach originated from Terminal 7-inch, the research wing, Dr. Vasquez's own computer." The accusation hit the facility like a thunderbolt. Dr. Vasquez, one of their most trusted scientists, was suddenly the prime suspect in the theft of her own research. Security officers escorted her to an interrogation room while her colleagues watched in stunned silence. The woman who had spent 5 years developing Phoenix Protocol was now accused of stealing it. Marcus observed the chaos from the periphery, his mop moving across the floors with the same steady rhythm, while the building erupted in whispered conversations and suspicious glances. But those who looked carefully might have noticed that his cleaning route had subtly shifted, bringing him closer to key areas of the facility: the server room, the security center, the executive offices. As the interrogation began, Dr. Vasquez maintained her innocence with growing desperation. "Someone used my credentials," she insisted to Agent Chen. "I would never steal my own research. Phoenix Protocol is my life's work. I created it to help people, not harm them." But the digital evidence seemed overwhelming. Her access codes had been used to breach the secure servers. Her computer showed signs of the intrusion. Even her keycard had been scanned at the relevant times. Agent Chen pressed harder, convinced she had found her perpetrator. Meanwhile, Marcus continued his evening cleaning routine, but his path now took him past the interrogation room where he could hear fragments of the questioning. His pace slowed almost imperceptibly as he absorbed each detail of the investigation's progress. To any observer, he appeared to be simply taking his time with his janitorial duties. The real breakthrough came when Marcus reached the executive wing. As he cleaned Director Walsh's office, he discovered something that made him pause: a USB device partially hidden behind the director's computer tower. Most people would have ignored such a small detail, but Marcus studied it with the intensity of someone trained to notice anomalies. Working quickly but quietly, Marcus used a technique that would have surprised anyone who thought they knew him. His weathered fingers moved with surgical precision, extracting the device without leaving any trace of his presence. The smooth, professional way he handled the evidence suggested skills far beyond those of a typical maintenance worker. But Marcus wasn't finished. His next stop was the security center, where he began what appeared to be routine floor cleaning, but was actually a careful observation of the surveillance system. His eyes tracked camera angles, blind spots, and recording schedules with the analytical mind of someone intimately familiar with such systems. The night shift brought new developments. As most staff went home, Marcus remained in the building, ostensibly completing his cleaning duties. But his movements had purpose beyond janitorial work. He made his way to the server room, where his cleaning gave him access to the facility's digital nerve center. What happened next would have shocked anyone who witnessed it. Marcus's hands moved across a computer keyboard with the fluidity of an expert, his fingers dancing through security protocols and system logs with impossible skill. This wasn't the fumbling of an elderly janitor. This was the work of someone with deep technical expertise. The data he uncovered told a different story than the one Agent Chen had constructed. Marcus discovered evidence of a sophisticated frame job, digital breadcrumbs carefully planted to implicate Dr. Vasquez while hiding the real perpetrator's identity. But more importantly, he found traces of the actual thief's presence in the system, someone with administrative access who had used Dr. Vasquez's credentials as a cover. As dawn approached, Marcus made his decision. He had maintained his cover for 3 months, gathering intelligence on a suspected security leak within Blackwater Medical. His real mission, working undercover for a classified government task force, was to identify the source of several research thefts from high-security facilities across the country. Now, he had found his target. The morning brought a dramatic shift in the investigation's direction. Agent Chen arrived to find an anonymous package on her desk containing a USB drive and a detailed analysis of the true digital evidence. The data painted a completely different picture of the crime, one that exonerated Dr. Vasquez and pointed toward a far more sinister conspiracy. "This is impossible," Agent Chen muttered as she reviewed the evidence. This level of analysis would require someone with top-level cybersecurity clearance and years of experience with corporate espionage cases. Director Walsh was summoned immediately. As Agent Chen presented the new evidence, his confident demeanor began to crack. The anonymous analysis revealed that he had been systematically stealing research from his own facility, selling it to foreign competitors, while using his administrative access to frame innocent employees. "This is ridiculous," Walsh protested, but his voice lacked conviction. "Anyone could have fabricated this evidence. You can't possibly believe some anonymous source over months of investigation." But Agent Chen was already connecting the dots. The pattern of thefts, the sophisticated cover-ups, the insider knowledge required, it all pointed to someone with Walsh's level of access and authority. She signaled her team to place him under arrest, just as he made a desperate attempt to flee. The chase through the facility's corridors brought the investigation to its climax. Walsh ran toward the emergency exit, but found his path blocked by an unexpected obstacle: Marcus, calmly mopping the floor in the corridor's center. What happened next defied all expectations. As Walsh attempted to push past him, Marcus moved with lightning-fast reflexes, that belonged to someone far younger and more dangerous than he appeared. In seconds, the fleeing director found himself face down on the freshly cleaned floor, his arm twisted behind his back, in a professional restraint hold that spoke of military or law enforcement training. "You might want to be more careful," Marcus said quietly, his voice carrying an authority that hadn't been there during his months of janitorial work. "Wet floors can be slippery." Agent Chen arrived moments later to find Walsh subdued and Marcus standing over him with the casual competence of someone accustomed to such situations. The transformation in the janitor was complete. His stooped posture had straightened, his uncertain movements had become precise and controlled, and his eyes held the sharp intelligence of a seasoned operative. Agent Marcus Sullivan, NSA Cybersecurity Division. He identified himself, producing credentials that explained everything and nothing simultaneously. "I've been tracking Director Walsh's activities for the past 6 months across multiple facilities." The revelation sent shockwaves through everyone present. The elderly janitor, who had been invisible for months, was actually a deep-cover federal agent, planted to investigate the systematic theft of classified research. His age and unassuming appearance had made him the perfect operative for long-term surveillance. Dr. Vasquez was released immediately, her vindication complete, but her world fundamentally changed by the knowledge that her trusted director had betrayed everything she worked for. Agent Chen found herself re-evaluating every assumption she had made about the case, realizing that the most important evidence had been gathered by someone she had never even noticed. As the investigation concluded, Marcus began preparing for his extraction from the facility. His cover was blown, his mission complete, and his next assignment would take him to another location where his unique skills would be needed. But first, he had one final task to complete. He found Dr. Vasquez in her laboratory, staring at the research that had nearly cost her career and freedom. "Doctor," he said quietly, causing her to turn in surprise. "I wanted you to know that your work on Phoenix Protocol, the real applications, not the weaponized versions Walsh was stealing, has the potential to save millions of lives. Don't let his betrayal destroy your faith in that mission." She studied this man, who had been hiding in plain sight for months. "How long have you been doing this kind of work?" she asked. "Long enough to know that the most dangerous enemies are often the ones closest to home," Marcus replied, "and long enough to recognize when someone's work is worth protecting." As he walked away, Dr. Vasquez realized that she would probably never see him again. Marcus Sullivan would disappear as quietly as he had arrived, moving on to another identity, another mission, another chance to protect national security from the shadows. The facility returned to normal operations within days, but the impact of the investigation lingered. Security protocols were enhanced, personnel screening was intensified, and the remaining staff worked with the sobering knowledge that threats could emerge from within their own ranks. Marcus's final report detailed not just Walsh's crimes, but the vulnerabilities that had made them possible. His recommendations would influence security procedures at research facilities across the country, protecting countless projects and personnel from similar infiltrations. But perhaps most importantly, his work had preserved the integrity of Dr. Vasquez's research. Phoenix Protocol would continue development under proper oversight, its potential to treat degenerative diseases intact and protected from those who would exploit it for harm. 3 weeks later, at a pharmaceutical company in Seattle, a new janitor named Robert Thompson began his first day of work. He was a quiet man in his early 60s, methodical in his duties, and largely invisible to the researchers and executives who passed him in the corridors. None of them noticed the way his eyes tracked security cameras or how his cleaning route subtly encompassed key areas of the facility. They didn't see the intelligence behind his unassuming exterior or recognize the skills that had been honed through decades of covert operations. Agent Marcus Sullivan had become Robert Thompson, and the mission continued. Somewhere in the building, another betrayal was taking shape. Another security breach was being planned. Another insider threat was preparing to strike, but they would face an opponent they never expected, a ghost who swept floors and emptied trash cans while protecting the nation's most vital secrets. The most dangerous operatives, Marcus had learned long ago, were those who remained invisible until the moment they chose to be seen. And in a world where knowledge was power and secrets were weapons, sometimes the most important battles were fought by those who appeared to be fighting none at all. His mop moved across the laboratory floors with practiced efficiency, and the scientists worked around him without a second glance. After all, he was just the janitor, and that was exactly how he preferred it. That's the incredible story of how one man's hidden identity saved lives and exposed corruption from the shadows. If you were captivated by this tale of undercover heroism, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories of unexpected courage and hidden strength. What did you think of Marcus's reveal? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next thrilling story.